Hi, my name is Venkat. I'm the freelance Apache Spark trainer and as well as the Hadoop trainer too. So I'll be the trainer as of today. Uh, we are going to talk about the introduction of Apache Spark and what kind of benefits Apache Spark will provide and etc. Let's talk about what are the issues when we are using the Hadoop framework. So as everyone knows that there are two things which are always keep bugging when we have any data input store. Basically what we have to do is one is we need to process the data and another one is we need to store it. So especially in the Hadoop framework, so when you look into the iterative data processing, especially when we are reading the data, and the best example for map reducing is one of the program model, right, for the Hadoop framework in order to process the data, right? So basically when you are performing any of the map computation, so let's assume that you have the map the data store where we am trying to read it and I'm trying to perform the data computation. So once I done the computation, basically what I have to do is I need to write data to the disk. So for the reduce is another operation, another function. So again I want to do whatever the result it produces in the map function. So I need to read the data wherever the data write to the disk. From there I need to read it, and again I need to perform the reduce computation. So once the computation is done, again I need to write it to the disk. So again if I want to perform further computations, so similarly whatever I am performing, reading from the data store and performing the computation and writing to the disk, again to perform the computation I need to read it where the data stored, and again I need to write it. So this is something like the iterative processing. Basically what is the problem we need to observe here is here the more number of input output operations and more number of read and writes, and as well as the data serialization and as well as the data replication. When the data is storing right to the disk, so obviously we have to maintain the replicating of the data, right? So there are three things which we need to identify. One is the data replication, more data replications, and data input and output operations, that's something like read and write operations, and as well as data serializations. So these are some of the things which is really impact the system. So these will make the system very slow. So it means that when we are performing the computation on the data, obviously it will reduce the performance of the application, right? It will reduce the data processing time, and as well as it will reduce the system. So how we can able to improve these areas? That is one of the problem. The another problem is when we are performing any of the ad hoc queries or something like iterative rather than iterative, I can say the interactive data queries. When we are performing any of the interactive query processing, basically in the interactive data query processing, what exactly is happening is, so this is the input data store. So from there, so multiple queries are trying to read to perform the operations, and once the query is processing, and it will write the result. So there are plenty of the queries when the user runs ad hoc queries on the same data store, so it will reduce the execution time. So application will dominate, right? So this will also reduce the execution time for the data processing, right? So this is the another problem. The number one is iterative data processing, and another one is interactive data query processing. There are two things which are the key problems. So these will reduce the impact, reduce the data computation, and as well as reduce the time. So Apache Spark is a framework. The main purpose of Apache Spark is designed in order to improve when you are performing any of the data operations on the larger data sets, in order to improve the computation speed. So Apache Spark is one of the framework which is available in the current market. So this is far better and it's more faster when compared to the Hadoop framework. And this Apache Spark is implemented in Berkeley Labs in 2019, and later on, this will be the one of the key project in the Apache Foundation. So in this case, whatever we discussed, the iterative processings. So if you look into the diagram, right, so the disk data on the disk, that is something like the input data storage. From there the map functions in the iterative one, and it's trying to read the data from data store, and once the computation is done for the map, and it will write it to the disk again, right? And after then the iteration 2, and it's trying to read from the disk and to perform the computation on the map reduce computation, and it will again write it like that. It's iterative. So now how can I able to improve the so as we know that the Apache Spark will offer the in-memory computation. So when we say that in-memory computation, so whatever the operations we are performing, any of these computation in the memory. So I will give the best example. Let's say this is my local RAM, this is my system RAM, and this is my data store,